Hello and welcome back to the Outset Coffee official YouTube channel. The following content was created by Microsoft Copilot Artificial Intelligence and is subject to being incorrect. If you are curious about this subject, please consider doing your own research. None of the following is medical advice. Now we hope that you will enjoy episode 1 of the Outset Podcast. Coffee changes everything.
Welcome to Copilot Podcasts. Your morning cup of coffee just got more interesting. A new study from Tufts University shows that your daily brew might be doing more than just waking you up. It could actually be extending your life. Today, we're diving into the fascinating science of coffee, from its surprising health benefits to the psychology behind why we crave it. And trust me, what we've found will make you look at your next cup differently.
You know, what's really fascinating is that coffee has been the subject of intense scientific scrutiny, and the results are pretty remarkable. Recent research shows that drinking 3 cups of coffee daily is linked to a 14% lower risk of dying from any cause.
Wait, 14%? That's a significant number.
It is, and here's the interesting part. This benefit only applies to coffee that isn't loaded with sugar and saturated fats. Black coffee, or coffee with minimal additions, shows the strongest association with longevity.
So my fancy caramel macchiato might not be doing me any favors?
Well, not from a health perspective. The Tufts study specifically found that when you add high amounts of sugar and saturated fat, you basically cancel out those mortality benefits.
That's really interesting. But beyond just living longer, what other benefits are we seeing?
The list is actually quite extensive. Recent research shows coffee consumption is linked to lower risks of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and several types of cancer. It even helps protect against respiratory and kidney diseases.
You know what's wild? I read that coffee drinkers actually bounced back faster after certain types of surgery.
Yes, that's a fascinating finding. Studies showed that coffee drinkers had significantly quicker recovery of normal bowel function after colorectal surgery. It's these kinds of unexpected benefits that make coffee research so interesting.
But timing matters too, right? I saw some research about when we should be drinking our coffee.
Absolutely. This is really crucial. A recent study found that people who drink their coffee between 4 a.m. and noon saw the greatest benefits. They were 31% less likely to die from cardiovascular disease compared to non-coffee drinkers.
That's a huge difference. Why does timing matter so much?
It comes down to 2 main factors. First, drinking caffeine later in the day can disrupt sleep patterns, which isn't great for your overall health. Second, the anti-inflammatory effects of coffee appear to be strongest in the morning when inflammation levels naturally peak.
Speaking of effects, let's talk about what coffee does to our brains. Because it's not just about the caffeine, right?
No, and this is where it gets really interesting. Recent brain scan studies showed that drinking coffee increased activity in parts of the brain involved in short-term memory, attention, and focus in ways that pure caffeine didn't.
So there's something special about coffee itself?
Exactly. The researchers think it might be related to the whole coffee experience, the aroma, the taste, the ritual. These all seem to contribute to cognitive benefits beyond just the caffeine content.
You know what's funny? Coffee used to have such a bad reputation. People thought it caused all sorts of health problems.
Right, and now we have decades of research showing quite the opposite. The FDA even recently ruled that coffee with fewer than 5 calories per serving can qualify for a healthy claim.
Let's talk about productivity. How does coffee affect our work performance?
Well, there's some fascinating research here. Coffee has been shown to improve various cognitive functions, including attention, memory, and reaction time. Studies show that moderate coffee drinkers exhibit better cognitive performance compared to non-coffee drinkers.
And what about driving? I heard something about coffee and road safety.
Yes, this is quite remarkable. Drivers who used caffeine had a 63% lower risk of crashing. That's a pretty striking statistic showing coffee's real-world impact on safety.
Wow, 63%? That's incredible.
It is, and it's particularly important for long-distance drivers or people doing shift work. Coffee can help maintain alertness during these challenging situations.
But there must be some downsides, right? We can't just drink coffee all day long.
No, you're absolutely right. Excessive caffeine intake can lead to increased heart rate and blood pressure. Studies show that consuming more than 400 milligrams daily, about 4 cups of coffee, can have these effects.
And what about sleep? That's a big concern for many people.
Yes, drinking coffee late in the day can definitely interfere with sleep patterns. The caffeine can stay in your system for hours, leading to restlessness and reduced sleep quality.
So it's really about finding the right balance?
Exactly. The research consistently points to 3-5 cups per day as the sweet spot for health benefits, but it's important to time those cups right and be mindful of additions like sugar and cream.
Let's talk about the psychological aspects. Why do we crave coffee so much?
It's fascinating, actually. Coffee has both physiological and psychological effects. The caffeine blocks adenosine receptors in the brain, which prevents tiredness, but there's also this emotional connection we develop with the ritual of coffee drinking.
Right, it becomes part of our daily routine.
And that routine itself becomes comforting. Research shows that the familiar ritual of brewing and sipping coffee provides a moment of tranquility amidst life's chaos.
What about mood? Does coffee affect how we feel emotionally?
Recent studies have shown an interesting connection between coffee consumption and depression. A 2023 meta-analysis found that each additional cup of coffee per day was associated with a 4% reduction in the risk of depression.
That's fascinating. How much coffee are we talking about?
The strongest effects were seen in people who drank about 4 cups per day. They showed significantly lower risk of depression compared to those who drank less than 1 cup daily.
But it's not just about mental health, right? Coffee affects our physical performance too?
Yes, studies have shown that caffeine can increase muscle contraction force and endurance during exercise. Athletes often use coffee as a natural performance enhancer.
What about tolerance? Do we need more coffee over time to get the same effects?
That's a great question. With regular consumption, our brains do adapt by increasing the number of adenosine receptors. This is why some people find they need more coffee over time to feel the same level of alertness.
So should people take breaks from coffee sometimes?
Some experts suggest occasional breaks can help reset your sensitivity to caffeine. But it's important to note that sudden cessation can lead to withdrawal symptoms like headaches and fatigue.
Let's talk about creativity. Does coffee help or hinder creative thinking?
Interestingly, while coffee improves many cognitive abilities, creativity isn't one of them. Research shows that while caffeine helps with problem-solving tasks, it doesn't enhance creative thinking.
That's surprising. I always thought coffee helped with all aspects of mental performance.
It's a common misconception. Coffee is great for focus and attention, but creativity seems to operate differently in our brains.
What about shopping? I heard something about coffee affecting our spending habits.
Yes, this is quite interesting. Recent research found that people who had just 1 espresso before shopping spent about 50% more money than those who hadn't had coffee.
50%? That's huge.
It is. The researchers found that caffeine made people feel more excited, which led to more impulsive buying decisions, particularly for pleasure-oriented items.
Maybe I should avoid coffee before hitting the mall then.
Probably a good idea. It's just another example of how coffee can influence our behavior in unexpected ways.
Let's wrap this up. What's the bottom line on coffee consumption?
The research is pretty clear. Moderate coffee consumption, about 3-5 cups per day, appears to offer significant health benefits, from longer life to better cognitive function. But timing and how you drink it matter.
And what are the key takeaways for our listeners?
First, try to drink your coffee before noon to maximize benefits. Second, keep it simple. Adding lots of sugar and cream can negate the health benefits. And finally, listen to your body. Everyone responds to caffeine differently.
Any final thoughts?
Yes, I think it's worth remembering that coffee isn't just about the caffeine. It's the whole experience, the aroma, the taste, the ritual that contributes to its benefits.
And maybe skip the coffee before shopping.
Unless you're feeling particularly generous with your wallet.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode of Copilot Podcasts. Remember, your morning cup of coffee isn't just a habit, it's a science-backed boost to your health and well-being, as long as you drink it right.
And timing is everything. So tomorrow morning, when you're enjoying that first cup, you can feel good knowing you're not just waking up, you're potentially adding years to your life.
Thanks for joining us today. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think it's time for my morning coffee.